Okay, Greg Cummings, CEO of Power 100. We are still here at Lindus Construction. We are getting to talk to so many people. Again, we haven't normally done this, but while we were here on the pop-in, they've allowed us some access to continue to talk to folks. This is Travis, the VP of Sales. Travis, thanks for taking some time with us.
Love it, love it.
Now, one of the unique pieces that your job has is it's evolved dramatically over the last couple of years with technology, in particular, Rilla. So Rilla is a very powerful tool where they assist you on virtual ride-alongs, but it's like any other tool, right, Travis? You only get out of it what you put into it. Can you talk a little bit about how your life has changed and how your ability to do your job has changed with the evolution of this technology?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started this job, I was in sales, and then they made me a trainer, and then I did a lot of ride-alongs, physical ride-alongs. And what's nice about that is you can get a lot of great information from them, and you can really help reps when you can start to recognize some of the areas of weakness that they have. And then we can go back and train on them within our training facility out here. But where Rilla has gotten such a great tool for me is I've went from 5 to 6 a week to 20 to 30 a week. And I also think you get a more organic situation when they're just being themselves. When I rode along, I always felt like the homeowners, they knew I was the boss, right? So they would talk to me a lot of times, and they would ask me particular questions and not the rep. And I also felt like the rep was just trying to do the best they could that day. I want to know who you are every day, and that's how I can help you. And I think that's what Rilla's done, is that it's allowed me to use it as a growth tool. It's not a I got you tool. Or a micromanaging tool. It's a tool for growth, and that's how we look at it here at Lindus, and that's why everybody uses it at such a consistent rate. And I think guys, once they can see the improvement that they're making by using it, it's a no-brainer.
So you mentioned one of the most important things is that adoption of technology. That's why great ideas, great products, great services fail, is they're not implemented. It sounds like the process was bought in by you first and foremost, right? You weren't skeptical on it. And then how did that trickle down? How did you ensure that your team was all in on it? And then lastly, what are those numbers? If you don't mind sharing, like what percentage are you getting recorded on the guys? What is a company-wide expectation?
Yeah, absolutely. I can answer all that. I knew right away when I looked at Rilla, because actually I had started doing it with just the little clips. I ordered some clips with the guys and they would use them, and then I'd have to go break them down, right? So I'd have to listen to the entire thing. But now with Rilla, with the technology it has, I can go through the whole 2 hours and I can do it in 15 minutes or 20 minutes versus having to listen to the whole thing. It used to have to take me 2-3 hours because I had to listen to the whole thing and then go back and break it down. So that's why it allows me to listen to so many more. So I knew that the tool was going to be very useful. I do think one of the most important things is how you implement it within your staff, because they will look at it, quite a few will look at it as a micromanaging tool. And ironically, it's more than not your top sales reps, right? I don't know why it seems that way, but so I had to
look at my numbers,
yeah,
Travis.
right. Why
That's
do I
what
need
it
to be
is.
doing
I don't
this?
need to do this.
Exactly. And so my whole point was I want to figure out what you're doing well. Like, why would you want to know what you're doing well? And so I just I said, guys, just trust me. You know who I am. I care about you and your growth. I'm not here to get you on a gotcha tool, right? So, but that took months of the guys doing it, and for me to implement it the right way, and also approach them the right way if I did catch something on the Rillas.
Right.
A lot of times it was more of a one-on-one situation versus me out in front of all the other 27 guys saying, hey, this is what I listened that you did last night. So that was really, really important that we did it that way. And once the guys started to become appreciative that, hey, this is actually a tool that has improved, has allowed my sales skills to improve. And the guys love it too when I listen to it and they have a success story and you can listen to, then they puff their chest out. Now all of a sudden it's a great idea.
Yeah, of course.
So I think once all of those things, it takes time. It just takes time. But the numbers that you asked for, my lowest rep right now, we just went over it for reviews, is 74.3% of the time he uses it. That's the lowest rep I have. And our highest one is 98.1%.
What's your expectation?
They use it on every single lead.
Okay.
Yep. Because and there's times where even if they might get there and it's something that we can't help them with.
So is it 74% of the time for that person?
Yep.
Is that like borderline? If that happens again, and that's not picked up next week, like that's like a notable flaw, right? Like
Correct.
it's corrective action time.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
that doesn't happen.
Yep. And some of the times with that throws them off a little bit is it glitches sometimes. So when we say 74% and 98.1%, it's like I can go on there and I can listen to the entire appointment. And there are times where guys would come in and they'd be like, well, I got there and we couldn't even do the work. I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you still can't record it.
Right.
Because I just want them to get into the habit of always doing it.
Every time.
Every time. And what I do, I call it Breakfast Club. So if the guys don't perform at a certain percentage for that week previous, they have to come in to the meeting early. Because I'm like, well, it's obviously you're too busy or there's a reason why you're not doing it.
Wait, they have to come in early if they're not performing in a closing in a numbers wise, or if it's
using the RILAs.
Oh, not using the RILA.
Not using the RILAs because.
So you've taken it a step further. Essentially, you're not even documenting, or I don't want to say punishing, but there's no consequences necessarily for underperformance on the actual end result. It is more about the process, driving
100%.
the process.
Yep.
We will work with you if you can't close a door, if you're willing to put in the process, because if you stick to what we have and the tools and resources, you're going to win eventually.
Yeah,
right?
and you stick to the process and do the things that we train you to do, success will eventually come. But if you don't do those things, then I can't help you.
You know what always cracks me up? Like, I know you played football. We were talking a little bit before we started the camera. I played basketball. A lot of the guys and gals in sales have been in sports, right?
Right.
To some degree. I mean, don't you remember being in that locker room or in that tape room where the coach is hitting rewind, and every single time I remember leaving a film room, and I unfortunately at the time, I would be the first one out of film because of my ego at the time. I was like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
I was the sales rep that we didn't want back then when I was in college.
Right.
But, I've changed a lot since then. But I always remembered the guys that were really taking, this was in college, not in high school. High school, I watched film religiously. I would go home after a game. After every single game, I would watch the tape, right?
Yep.
And I would watch it 2 or 3 times until I would go to bed, and I wouldn't even go out after. I was fully dedicated. Then I went to college and realized the world was big. And
changes.
It was a whole thing.
It changes.
But even in pros, I have people that went and played pro. Like the number one guys spend the most time reviewing how they play.
There's no doubt about it. And I'm glad you brought that up because we have a lot of athletes that are in there. And some of the ones that weren't crazy about the RILA idea, some of my highest closers as well, I just brought that to them. I said, film doesn't lie. Did you ever watch film in college? It doesn't lie. Why? So for me, I said, what you're doing right now is if you're going out there and you're not performing well, you don't want to go back and watch the tape and improve. I said, that's what this is, right? And I said, I'm allowing you to watch the tape. I'm not here to call you out in front of everybody and use it as, again, a micromanaging tool. That's not even close. It's for you to be able to go back and listen to yourself and gauge how can I improve, and then we work on those things in our meetings. So
you're a real coach.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
That's what RILA allows you to do, is truly be a coach.
Exactly.
Whereas before RILA, or even if you're halfway adopting it, you just put your low performers or you just put your new people, you can't actually coach the team because you don't have a proper barometer of what success looks like, right?
Correct. You've got it can't be these people do it and these people don't do it, or you can choose to do it. I just don't think, I think most people, unfortunately, will choose not to do it. We don't like to be scrutinized. I think people ultimately want to be better, but the process of getting better, they're not in love with that. So some of this stuff that hurts, like listening to yourself or somebody else listening to you, and then coming in and sitting down, that could be a bit uncomfortable for them, but hey, it is what it is.
But it's like anything. Once you do it a couple times and you break that ice, you start to see the value of it, but it takes somebody to kind of, I don't want to say hold their hand, drag them through it, but you got to do that in order to really get to what the promised land, if you will.
Yeah, it's just an expectation right now, and the guys just know they got to do it. So.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. Congratulations on all the success. You are a massive part of why Lindus Construction is a top 5 company in the United States. As you know, we review over 7,600 companies on an annual and ongoing basis to make sure that we are giving the top recognition to the people that truly deserve it. and your efforts with what you're doing with your team is definitely recognized, not just from this town up here in Baldwin, Wisconsin, but across the whole country on a level playing field. So
Sounds
congratulations.
Great. Sounds great.
All right.
Thank you.
As always, power up.